Hello YouTube, how is y'all's day going? Today we have our first mock draft of 2024. I have been absolutely shit with uploads. I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm a little tiny bit under the weather, so I apologize about my voice, but we are going to get straight into this, so let's do it. Alright, so I haven't given any of my takes for the season, so we're just going to jump right into it. Number one, I have the Bears selecting Caleb Williams. This should be obvious by now. I was all aboard the abandoned Justin Fields train. I was all for it. I mean, Caleb Williams is my first prospect, and trust me, I've seen many great prospects. He's my first prospect that I ranked as a generational, and I was very high on CJ Stroud last year. I almost put him as generational. I don't know why I didn't, because clearly it worked out. But Caleb Williams is my first generational prospect. The way I look at it is he's a Kyler Murray that has a little bit better of a build. Just a elite improviser, great arm, talent, period. Not just deep ball, just he can make any throw on the field. He's very Patrick Mahomes in that way. Not to glaze, but the guy is very, very talented. I know that he's got some personality issues that a lot of people have problems with, but you can't let personality issues take away from the fact that he's a damn good player. So Caleb Williams, number one. Number two, we have Drake May. Yeah, there's a lot of buzz around Jaden Daniels. I am not a Jaden Daniels guy. Jaden Daniels is not some amazing passer. He's not. That's a fact of the matter is people do not. I've made videos on it about TikTok. Jaden Daniels is excels and had such good stats because he had a lot of quick set fire throws, which what that means is that there's a lot of very easy passes to make, like hitch routes, slants, ins, most importantly, a lot of dump offs to your running back, wide receiver screens, tight end screens, things of the such. And when you have really good playmakers like Malik Neighbors, like Brian Thomas Jr., who are guys who are literally first round talents, then it makes your job very easy. It's not his fault for having good wide receivers. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the throws he had to make, there weren't a ton of difficult ones. And then there's a couple of times where he'll make a deep bomb and people will be like, see, he can pass. It's like, it doesn't work that way, man. I need to see some consistency. I need to see better evaluation of the field and all that kind of thing, all those kinds of things. And I don't see that with Jaden Daniels. However, there are so many teams that need a quarterback. And I think as far as the Patriots go, heading in a new direction with Jerod Mayo at head coach, that is a good quarterback for them to move forward with. Plus, he is a phenomenal scrambler. I mean, he's one of the best I've ever seen. So, there's that. If he can just develop a little bit more in the passing game, I have no doubt that he'll be good. I'm just not quite on board that train. So Drake May, Justin Herbert clone. It's as close as I've ever seen a comparison. I swear he's literally Justin Herbert. He's got a great frame. I think he's 6'4", but I think he could be 6'5". I've seen a couple listings of 6'5". Just great frame, amazing mechanics, great arm, just amazing ball placement. So, and I've seen some people try to shit on him, and I do not get that whatsoever. I think y'all are dumb if you do not like Drake May. So Drake May is literally, I've thought about between Drake May and Caleb Williams, but Caleb Williams just does that much more than me, does that much more for me. Number 4, I have the Cardinals taking MHJ. Yeah, I'm actually not an MHJ guy either. I'm a Malik Neighbors guy. He's actually my number 1 wide receiver. However, I do believe in fits. And while Malik Neighbors is my number 1 wide receiver, it's by a couple significant steps, but it's not by too much. Marvin Harrison is very talented, has pretty much everything that you'd want in a prototypical wide receiver 1. And since that's the case, and I think that Kyler Murray did his best when he had someone like DeAndre Hopkins. Marvin Harrison, kind of like a DeAndre Hopkins, kind of like a do-it-all wide receiver. So I think that getting someone like that instead of somebody who's just a really speedy, fast, really amazing route technician, great separator, and Malik Neighbors, I think Marvin Harrison's a little bit better suited for Kyler Murray because I know that they're wanting to rebuild around him. Number 5, I definitely thought about offensive line here. Jim Harbaugh even said that he wants to beef up the offensive line for the run game. But, I mean, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams gone. I was a big Quentin Johnston fan. I'm still on the boat that if he can somehow fix what's going on with his hands, he's going to be a great wide receiver. Because here's the thing, dude. He literally was still doing all the things that I pointed out great last season. However, the thing is that he couldn't hold on to a ball. He couldn't catch a ball. He couldn't hold on to a ball. So if he's able to develop that, then he'll be fine. But Malik Neighbors, Quinn Johnson, Joshua Palmer, I think that can get the job done. They can try to target offensive line, running back, cornerback, stuff like that in the later rounds. Number 6, Giants need a wide receiver desperately. Rome Odunze. Again, one of those guys that's just a prototypical wide receiver one. Go up and get it guy. Physical, good speed, good route running. Just solid all the way around, very well-rounded. 7, Joe Alt to the Titans. I think the Titans, in the most respectful way that this can sound, this would be the Titans' wet dream. If they can land Joe Alt, I think that is a huge win for them. And I think they most likely will. But just in the off chance that there's a trade up or the Chargers throw something in the mix, or even the Patriots have been rumored to not want a quarterback and want offensive line. Titans need offensive line desperately. This is a perfect pick for them. Joe Alt is by far and away, I don't know why people argue it, he is the number 1 tackle. Number 8, my Atlanta Falcons. Let's go, dude. We are heading into a great year. I am not a Dallas Turner guy. I'm going to be honest. There's a lot of people in this year's draft that I am not as high on as the media and as much as casuals want me to be. Leatu Latu. Yes, he's had some injury history. He is an older prospect. I think he's 23. The dude is a monster. I mean, if you watch his tape, he is consistently getting pressure, consistently getting to the quarterback. And I mean, that is just something that you cannot teach. He's already so refined. We're at a point where we are heading to be a winning team. This just seems like such an obvious and perfect pick for us. I mean, he is just a monster. There's no other way that I can describe it. He's got a great mix of speed, versatility, strength. He's very well-rounded with his pass rush moves. He's got a good bag of pass rush moves. I'm a very big fan of Leatu Latu. Very, very big fan of Leatu Latu. He's him or Verse. I swear if we pick Dallas Turner, I'm going to be really upset. By the way, I know it's kind of self-explanatory, but there are no trades in this one. I just wanted to go straight in. Next one will be trades for sure. Number 9, I have Jared Verse going to the Bears. He's my edge 2. I like Jared Verse a ton. I thought he was going to come to the draft last year. He was going to be my edge 2 then as well, behind Will Anderson. Dude is just so strong. He had the most reps out of edge rushers this year. I think he ended up with 31 in the combine. Tested very well. Very strong. Very, very strong. And that is something that I look for with edge rushers, and it's why I'm actually not the biggest fan of Dallas Turner, is because he's a very athletic guy. But again, I wasn't high on Nolan Smith last year, and he kind of reminds me of that. Very athletic, doesn't have the strength that I want for an edge rusher to get to the quarterback, especially with these bigger, faster, stronger tackles that are coming in the NFL now. Jared Verse, extremely strong dude, gets to the quarterback. There's a sack that he had against Florida this year where he just pushed the tackle all the way into the quarterback. I mean, it's just, he's amazing strength. He's got a good mix of pass rush moves. There's some times where I wonder how much, inconsistent, motor, you know what I mean? Like, seems like he's taking breaks, but that's kind of typical. He's getting a little bit up there in age, but not too bad. I'm a big fan of Jared Verse. 10, Jets. I think they're going to make a win now move. They have some temporary fixes at offensive tackle with Morgan Moses and a guy from Tyron Smith from the Cowboys. I think that they could definitely go tackle for the future, but I think they're trying to close in that window with Aaron Rodgers. Brock Bowers would be a huge addition to this offense. Nate Wiggins is my number 1 corner. He had a 4.35, I believe, which is unbelievable speed. He did injure himself on that, but I'm really not worried about it. It was rumored to not be too bad. I love his tape. He's got fluid hips. That's the main thing I look for in a corner. Great length. Love his size. Everything about him. Tested great. Boom. Number 1 cornerback, no doubt in my mind. 12, I am way higher than the media. I'm way higher on the media than Bo. Nobody likes Bo Nix. I don't know what Bo Nix did. Bo Nix is 24 years old. It's not good. He did not do that well at Auburn, but dude, he did not have good anything at Auburn. He didn't have good coaching. He did not have good wide receivers. He did not have good offensive line. So I don't know why people are giving him such crap for that. He came to Oregon. He showed a lot more potential. Also, a lot of people talk about his arm not being that great. I think people are just, it's what happens every single year. Somebody says something in the media, it gets launched out, everybody says it without watching. And it really makes me mad. But Bo Nix has a phenomenal arm. Bo Nix has a phenomenal arm. He can rocket it downfield. There's sometimes where he's some spotty accuracy, sometimes where he has some questionable decision making. But overall, he's a very good improviser. He can scramble well. He throws on the run very well. I love him in play action. And I really think, especially for Sean Payton, this is a very, very like good QB prospect for them. And the Broncos, out of all the teams, need quarterback the most, in my opinion. Not out of all, but I'm saying like, especially like in these later rounds, like the Vikings and stuff like that, like they need it bad. They need to get a quarterback of the future, especially since Sean Payton's there now. It's kind of just a cluster F, if you ask me. Boom. The Raiders, I have them taking Olu Fashanu. Yeah, Raiders, I think they can, I think he's left tackle. They can move him to right tackle. He's a big boy. He's very well rounded. He's got a lot of upside. And the Raiders have not addressed offensive line for years, and they need to. They usually are addressing corner or wide receiver or something, just defensive line, just something other than offensive line. And they've really needed to build that up for so many years, man, because they haven't had a decent offensive line since like that Derek Carr MVP or whatever that was. Was that 2018, 2017, something like that? It had to be somewhere around there. Anyways, point is, build the offensive line. I have no doubt Olu across from Colton Miller left tackle, Fashanu at right. It'll build that offensive line back up, maybe get Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew a little bit more time. And I think that they can target wide receiver or, edge or corner, especially in the later rounds. So yeah, this is a very deep wide receiver class, and I think that they should target wide receiver. 14. Yeah, honestly, I usually, when I've done practice mocks, this is my first mock that I'm posting, but I've done practice mocks. Dallas Turner, I usually have falling significantly. I'm not going to lie. But I think that the Saints, I was looking at offensive line. They could use that really badly. But, they just drafted Trevor Penning. Maybe they give it another year, see if he can develop somehow. Ryan Ramczyk is apparently they're ready to move on with the season, like he's not playing. But I don't know how true that is. So why panic? What is a problem is edge right now. They signed Chase Young. He did not do well for the 49ers at the end of the season. Yeah, man. Peyton Wilson hasn't turned out. Why does that not sound right? It's Peyton Wilson, right? Why does that not sound right? Peyton Turner. My bad. All right, sorry I just took so long for that, but Peyton Turner. Okay. Yeah, Dallas Turner, fast. Hopefully you can develop a little bit more strength-wise. He had good production. I'll give him that. He had good production. That does not always translate to the NFL, trust me when I say. 15, I would love Terrion Arnold for the Colts, but Quinion Mitchell just tested so well. I loved his tape. Fluid hips. He's my cornerback too. Yeah, I love Quinion Mitchell. He kind of came out of nowhere. Toledo. The only worry that I really have with him is like not that great of competition, but there's a couple of games. I can't remember what I watched, but there's a couple games where it was good competition. It kind of balances out. I don't know. I'm not really worried about Quinion Mitchell, but that you always have to weigh the scales on who he's facing consistently. But I like Quinion Mitchell a lot. The Colts desperately need corner. Kenny Moore's a good slot guy. Quinion Mitchell can be their CB1 there. So, Troy Fautanu going to the Seattle Seahawks. I see this all the time. I agree with it. I listed him as a guard. He said guard tackle flexibility, but they're most likely going to stick him at guard. They just lost Damian Lewis to the Panthers, I believe. They need offensive line. It was honestly already struggling with Damian Lewis last year. You need to get better there. I think it's an obvious pick for them. Moving on, we have Terrion Arnold to the Jags. The only thing that I like Terrion Arnold a lot. He's got some of the best character as a person, which, it weighs into my opinion, but not too much. But I'm just saying it's a quality. It's a great quality. He's a humble guy. I love Terrion Arnold as a person so much. He kind of bounced out of nowhere. Khalil McKinstry was kind of like CB1 forever, and now he's really started to fall. Yeah, I like Terrion Arnold a lot. He's more of a slot guy, in my opinion, especially with him not testing the best. And And that's where I don't know how well this works with the Jags, but the Jags really do need a corner. So, Jags grab a corner there. 18, Talise Fuaga to the Bengals. Yeah, they got Trent Brown. That's a little patch right now. I think they get somebody that's long-term that they don't have to pay for a while, like big pay, I mean. Especially with all these contracts that they're handing out. Joe Burrow, they're going to need Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. Sorry, I just hit the microphone. You know, who knows if they actually do T. Higgins, but you get my point. There's contracts coming up. They've already let go of some great players, DJ Reader, stuff like that. And I did think about Byron Murphy here. 19, a lot of people are going to give me shit for this, and that is okay. The Rams need to address offensive line. They're kind of the same with the Raiders, man. It's just like, and I mean, they've traded a lot of picks, so I'll give them a little bit of defense in that. But the Rams, man, they need to get offensive line. They need to. And Amarius Mims is a right tackle, I believe. Yeah, Amarius Mims is a right tackle, and they do have Amarius Mims is a right tackle, and they do have Rob Havenstein there. I have no doubt with how tall Amarius Mims is. He's 6'8". He's 6'8". I think he can translate over there, develop. They need more offensive line. They need interior. They need left and right, or not right. I mean, even if it doesn't work at left tackle, Rob Havenstein's getting older. They might move on from him. I don't know. They can stick him back at right tackle, and I think he'll work out there. So, 20... A lot of people are really high on Xavier Worthy going to the Steelers. I like that, but I'm a big A.D. Mitchell guy. I like him over Brian Thomas Jr. I just watched his tape. Dude ran a 4.35, super fast, combines fast physicality, go up and get it. Just honestly, kind of reminds me of a George Pickens, honestly. Like, just a little bit like that. Definitely not all the attitude there, but, you know. And what's ironic is that they are both they used to be Georgia prospects. Mitchell transferring to Texas, but I kind of like that for Russell Wilson, just getting two guys that can, I would say George Pickens is a little bit better of a route runner, but, you know, fast, physical, go up and get it, guys. Why not have two of them? Like, it's a great idea, in my opinion. And I did think about Xavier Worthy here. I did think about Brian Thomas Jr. I just like the A.D. Mitchell fit a lot more. 21, Dolphins have lost their mind. They've lost everybody. They've lost everybody. They need offensive line. Get J.C. Latham, plug him there. They need offensive line. They need it. So it's pretty self-explanatory there. I'm not going to explain too much there. J.C. Latham has been getting a lot of buzz lately. I think this is probably where I would see him going, but a lot of people have been seeing him. We've been seeing him go way higher than that. 22, the Eagles. The Eagles are in a sticky spot. I would say the main thing that they need is maybe interior offensive line just because they lost Jason Kelce. I've thought about Jackson Powers-Johnson, but it sounds like they might rule with Cam Jurgens at center, and it sounds like they're good with that. So to me, Cooper DeJean, you get someone, they still have a little bit of a safety weakness. They definitely have a little bit of a corner weakness. James Bradbury, Darius Slay aren't playing to what they used to, and they're not going to be around forever. So Cooper DeJean, grab him. He's that dynamic back. You can play him at safety. You can play him in slot. You can play him at corner. I love Cooper DeJean for the Eagles. I always have ever since I watched his films. Like, this is an Eagles type guy, I'm telling you. So 23, normally I would not have Michael Penix. Normally I would not have Michael Penix in the first round. In this case, and the reason being that 24, long injury history, didn't perform the way that I wanted to in the big bowl. Penix is weird too. He's a very accurate quarterback, but there's just he's like inconsistent accurate, if that makes sense. It's like he's very accurate, but then just all of a sudden he'll just throw like some ball and you're like, where the hell did that come from? Because usually if you have a really accurate guy, they stay on it. Doesn't mean that they can't afford a bad pass. It's just he's weird. He'll get in these rhythms of bad accuracy, but then usually he's just a super accurate guy. Anyways, they get the 5th-year option here with a guy like this, you know. Vikings really need a quarterback. I could see him going in the first, but I really think he's more of a second-round guy. That's what I would do if there's no trades being. This is all what I would do if there was no trades happening. So, Michael Penix to the Vikings. 24, big Braylon Trice guy. I do not know why this guy does not get more. I do, but I'm going to defend him. Braylon Trice, watch his tape. Monster, freakishly strong. You guys know how much I love my strength. freakishly strong. He is slow. He is slow. He's the kind of guy that is going to get the quarterback first if the pocket collapses where the quarterback can't get out. That and it makes it sound bad. Maybe he's more of a designated pass rusher. He can play 3 technique. He is big enough for that. So he could slide inside. I like him for the Cowboys. I like him. I think that they'll know how to use him. You know, Micah Parsons, they drafted big old dude from last year, interior guy. They have Sam Williams. They have DeMarcus Lawrence. I think that they just load up on this. I don't know. I just kind of like, he just feels like a Cowboys guy to me, you know? So I like Braylon Trice a lot. He has a good mix of pass rush moves. Did a good job of even getting after Caleb Williams. He just couldn't catch up to him outside of the pocket. 25, the Packers. They need offensive line. More specifically, they need tackle desperately. I would not be surprised if they move up in the draft. After losing Bakhtiari, dude, that's rough. Yeah. They need offensive tackle bad. The interior really isn't too bad. You know, Elton Jenkins, Myers, guys like that. But the tackle positions are looking kind of rough. So they could use a tackle there. 26, yeah. Usually I was mocking edge. That I feel like the Bucs need an edge pretty bad. But the interior offensive line isn't that great, and we could kind of see that, especially when it came to playoff time with Baker Mayfield. So, you know, Jackson Powers-Johnson, a lot of people are really high on him. You know, on almost every big board that I look in, his projections in the early 20s. So I feel like this is fair. You're kind of getting in the late 20s now. 27, a lot of people are going to get confused. I'm confused on where I have Ladd McConkey. Dude ran in the 4.3s. That impressed me. I was not expecting that. But Ladd McConkey has got to be one of the best separators I've ever seen in my life. I have no idea why this guy doesn't. I've seen him get mocked in the first. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he doesn't. But I have no idea why he doesn't get more. And I like the fit with the Cardinals. So I have the Cardinals doubling up on wide receiver here. You get Marvin Harrison. The wide receiver is a bad spot for them. They have Greg Dortch. That's a good, solid depth guy, wide receiver 3. They have Michael Wilson. I did like Michael Wilson. I don't know how consistent he'll be. You know, get double up on wide receiver. Focus on defense for the rest of the draft. The offensive line is the best that it's looked in years. You still got James Conner. Kyler Murray at the helm. Get him some wide receiver help, man. Trey McBride, Ladd McConkey, consistent, amazing, one of the best route runners I've ever seen. Consistent separator. Marvin Harrison, your all-around true wide receiver 1. Michael Wilson is wide receiver 3. Greg Dortch is wide receiver 3. That is a powerhouse offense. I'm so down for the Cardinals to double up on wide receiver this year. I'm so down. 28, the Bills. Brian Thomas Jr. Usually people have him going way sooner than this. This is, I would say a little bit before this, but this is probably more around the range that I think he should. I see what the hype is about. I do think people, the main thing out of everything that they've said, the thing that they're hyping up a little bit too much is his hands. He's more of a deep threat guy. He's got good ball tracking. He's fast. Great deep threat. He is. Yeah, I don't know. I like that. It's kind of a Gabe Davis replacement. It's a Gabe Davis upgrade, in my opinion, for the Bills. And the Bills need a lot of things. They need edge, they need corner, they need safety. But they've been needing another weapon. Gabe Davis wasn't getting it done even when he was healthy. He was very over, in my opinion. Khalil Shakir saw it as a wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 2 option sometimes. But, yeah, man. And they did get Curtis Samuel, which is an upgrade over Gabe Davis, in my opinion. But I think you just get somebody that you don't have to pay for a while. It's coming from wide receiver U, LSU. Like, you know what I mean? So, 29, Kool-Aid McKinstry falls all this way. Definitely thought of it for the Bills. Cameron Sutton is getting arrested. They released him. They needed a cornerback before that. Yeah, they've lost a lot of depth with that. They lost Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. It's just, yeah. It's a whole thing. They need a corner. Kool-Aid McKinstry is great value here. I love that for them. 30's Keon Coleman. I was so high on Keon Coleman originally. And then these other wide receivers just, I watched their film and they just started rising up the board for me. Keon Coleman did not test well. I think he ran close to a 4.6. But I love him as a red zone threat. He kind of reminds me a little bit of a Mike Evans. Not as great as hands as Mike Evans, but solid hands. He has that home run speed. I'll give him that. He's not fast by technical means, but so many times on tape he catches a slant and takes it to the house. He's 6'4". Like, he's got a great, and this is something that Lamar's needed. OBJ's not, like, yes, OBJ can, but especially now versus prime, OBJ is not going to go up and get it. You know, Zay Flowers is your fast, speedy guy. Zay Flowers is a great addition. Rashad Bateman, like, just can't get to the potential that I wanted to him. I really liked Rashad Bateman, so I think Keon Coleman here. I really want them to go wide receiver in this draft. I really want the Ravens to address that. They really need to. 31 49ers, love Graham Barton for the 49ers. If there is one person that I hope falls to the 49ers at 31, it is Graham Barton. He is an offensive tackle, but he is even better as a guard. That guard tackle versatility on a offensive line that needs it so desperately, man. Graham Barton to the 49ers just makes sense. Chiefs, they got a lot of worries on their mind too. L'Jarius Sneed, traded. They need a corner. There wasn't anybody that I was comfortable with. I'm not the biggest fan of Ennis Rakestraw. I'm really not a big fan of Kamari last year. That comes from a Georgia fan. Yeah. And, you know, Rashee Rice is now in trouble too. He's joining Cam Sutton and Henry Ruggs, you know, running away from a car crash. So they need wide receiver here. Why just give them two fast ones? You got Marquise Brown now. Get Xavier Worthy, you know. I think Xavier Worthy is a little bit more of what they were kind of hoping Kadarius Toney was for them. So I know this is the first one. It's a little bit wonky. There's no trades. From now on, I think I'm just going to do trades because I think there will be a lot of trades this year. I don't know about a lot, but a good bit. Enough. Definitely as much as last year. And I think the picks will make a little bit more sense. This isn't exactly where I would have a lot of these guys going, and you guys will see that next mock draft. But I hope you guys enjoyed. There will be plenty of content coming. Right when I just have to watch my guys. I'm not going to make blanket statements on guys that I don't know. I like to be informed. I like to inform you guys. I want to let you know who's overrated, who's underrated, who you should be looking out for. And but I hope you guys enjoyed. You guys take it easy. If you liked, smash the subscribe button, like it, comment, whatever helps. I appreciate you guys, and God bless.